What's up, you guys? Today I want to talk about some of the responsibilities and things that you have to think about before you go on a through hike that lasts 5 to 6 months. Hello, Fifi. So maybe if you're planning a through hike yourself, you can start making a list of things that you need to get done before you go, because I know for me, the past 2 weeks, that's all I've been doing is figuring out everything I need to get done so I don't have to deal with anything on trail. So I have a list of things because most through hikes start around tax season. Taxes is number one on my list. My taxes were super tricky this year. I was filing in multiple different states. I was filing multiple different forms. And so I made sure to get my taxes done. I picked them up yesterday, and I do have to pay a little bit into the state of Arkansas, but I'm going to get that done and those will be completely squared away. If you're getting a tax return, it might be good to set up a direct deposit if you've already done that, just so that you can get that money deposited to your account. You don't have to worry about checks. For me, I'm getting a check in the mail. I'm just getting it sent to my parents' house, and they're going to hold it for me. And if I don't have it, I won't spend it. So I'll have some money waiting for me when I get back home. Number 2 on my list is medications. I have allergies really, really bad. I take Allegra D, and regular Allegra, Claritin, Zyrtec, none of that works for me. I have to have the Sudafed, and people like to cook meth with it in Arkansas, so we have to get written consent from the doctor, a prescription or whatever. And so I called in and got my prescription. I think I only get 15 pills, and they're only 12 hours worth, so I have to stockpile on those so that I can get them sent to me and I can bring a bunch out on trail with me to the PCT. I don't know what allergies are going to look like out there in the West. I'm sure there's some sort of pollen that I will not vibe with. So I'm going to make sure that I have plenty of that, because if I don't, I get sick and it's terrible and it's miserable. So if you have any sort of medications that you are going to need your entire through hike, talk to your doctor and see if you can't get a bigger supply of those medications if it's possible. And so that way you can either have it ready for somebody to send you in a resupply box or just take the bulk amount with you. One thing I did for that AT was I asked my doctor if I could get a prednisone script, because I get poison ivy really, really bad. Once I get it, the only thing that's going to get rid of it is steroids. And if I don't start the steroids, it gets really bad. So I had my doctor prescribed me a prednisone script, and I carried that with me the entire AT just in case I was exposed to poison ivy. I know a lot of people will ask their doctor if they can prescribe them a Z-Pack just in case they get bit by a tick and get Lyme's disease. And so it's good to kind of think on the front end of what you may need out there, and it can save you a lot of time and money not going to a walk-in clinic or whatever outside of your insured circle if you do have health insurance. Medications is a good thing to kind of think about. Okay, so the next thing I'll talk about is health insurance. So health insurance is really important. I learned that my last through hike, and I actually did have health insurance when I experienced my medical emergency, but it was health insurance through the state of Arkansas. So it actually doesn't work outside of the state of Arkansas for walk-in clinic visits and things like that. I did make sure to call my insurance agent before hitting the trail, and he did confirm that it covered all medical emergencies. My emergency surgery was covered for the most part by insurance. I did have to pay a little bit, but comparatively, if I didn't have health insurance, I would have been paying so much more. So that's why it is important to have health insurance. And so a lot of people wonder, if you're not going to be working for 6 months, how can you have health insurance? Well, you can look into getting health insurance through whatever state that you live in, just depending on what your income is going to look like and things like that. You can also get short-term insurance, and one of my friends actually used an insurance company called Nomads. It was $470 for 6 months. I don't know exactly what the rules for that are. I think it was one of those things where you'd have to pay up front, but if you submit a claim after the fact, the insurance company reimburses you money. So definitely look into that, but Nomads is the name of that insurance company, and I'm sure there are more out there, but there are options out there for you. If you already have health insurance, it might be a good idea to call your insurance agent and see what they actually cover, so that if you do have some sort of health issue on trail, whether they're going to cover a walk-in clinic or a medical emergency or something like that. Next on my list is car insurance. So this is a huge one because I pay car insurance for my Land Rover Discovery and my Dodge Sprinter van. I pay every 6 months, so together that car insurance is around $1,100. So I called my insurance company yesterday, and you still want to have insurance on your car. I just kept the comprehensive. So if a tree falls on my car, somebody breaks my windows or something, insurance will cover it. That, with both my vehicles, is going to be $27 for the next 6 months. And so my cars will still be insured just in case something happens. Comprehensive insurance is the way to go. If you're not really sure what you want to do, just call your insurance agent and they can help you through that process. The other thing that I had to take care of, and this is kind of unique to my situation, was my hospital bill from the AT. I'm still paying that off, and I have 2 months left. I think May is my last payment, but I'm just going to go ahead and pay 2 payments so that I'm done paying that bill before I leave on trail, so I don't have to deal with it at all. But this could go with any bill that people have. If you have bills that need to be paid, sometimes, you know, if you can pay them off, get them paid off, or get like a direct withdrawal from your bank account set up so you don't forget or miss a payment, because it's really easy to do that. Once you get on trail, you just lose track of time, days, dates, all that. So it's better if it's just automatic thing and you don't have to worry about it. The next thing is subscriptions and memberships. So I recently canceled my gym membership so that I'm not paying for something that I'm not going to use on trail. And that can go with any subscription or membership that maybe you have locally to a gym or a club or something like that you're not going to go to. Another thing is starting subscriptions for the trail. So made sure that I was up to date on my Apple Music, so I listened to a lot of music on trail. And then I also got a Audible membership and listened to audiobooks a lot on the Appalachian Trail, and that was really nice. Me and James actually listened to a book together. We had the wireless headphones, and it was something that we could do when it kind of got dull and boring throughout the day, and we could kind of listen to the book for a little bit and then talk about it afterwards. So that was really fun. But again, it's better to get these things done before you get on trail, because everything, like with service and setting stuff up like that, can just be kind of a headache. So knowing how it was on the AT, like, I want to get all this stuff done beforehand before I go on this next long distance trail. Some other things that I'll be doing before I leave is cleaning out my van, which is basically my little part-time home. I'm kind of just floating all over the place. I'm at my parents'. I was house sitting for them for 3 weeks, and then I lived in Richmond for a month, and then a couple weeks in the van when I went out to Florida. So I'm just kind of bouncing all over the place. I don't have a rent payment, but my van is kind of, I guess, my home base home other than my parents' house. And so I'm going to be cleaning out the van, and maybe this looks like for you putting some stuff into storage, renting out your space if you want to keep that, or just preparing for being gone for the next 5 to 6 months. So there's certain things in the van that I'm going to summarize, I guess, instead of winterize, summarize, because it's going to be sitting in the heat. And so there's some things that I'm going to take out of the van so they don't get destroyed in the heat. And, you know, whatever that might be, you may want to figure that out for your stuff as well. I'm also working on getting the last few pieces of gear together. I have a running list of everything that I still need. I think I have everything at this point, but there's also certain repairs that I want to do to gear that I'm going to be using that I used on the Appalachian Trail. So things like cleaning my sleeping pad or patching holes in certain things. Also organizing things that I may need sent to me later on in the trail. So I have one of those big plastic storage bins, and I put everything in there, like an extra rain jacket. I think I have some extra insoles in there, some extra shorts, just things like that. So my mom is going to be the designated person to send me stuff while I'm on trail. If something like that does come up, all that stuff is in one spot and she doesn't have to search for it. And so that might be something that you could also figure out doing too, is find a designated person that might be able to help you out while you're on trail if you need something sent. Or maybe you may want somebody to check your mailbox or get switched over to a PO box. if you need to do that. Another good thing to do is to call your bank or your credit card company and let them know that you're going to be traveling. I know for my bank, if I don't call and tell them that I'm traveling and I use my debit card in a different state, sometimes they will flag that as fraud. And so I always make sure to call them and let them know, like, hey, I'm going to be passing through California, Washington, Oregon, whatever states that you know you're going to be in. Just let them know, give them a heads up. They'll put a note in your account, and then that can save you some trouble along the way, because I've had that happen to me before, and it can be pretty annoying and also hard to figure out, especially if you don't have service. So make sure you get them called. Another thing I did before I left for the Appalachian Trail was get a little notepad, and I wrote down all of my important passwords, and I left it with my mom just in case I got locked out of anything and I couldn't remember my password. I knew I could call her. That way, just in case you do lose your phone and have to get a new one or get locked out of an account, you can have your passwords with somebody that you trust, and those can be easily accessed. The next thing on my list is my Garmin subscriptions. A lot of y'all know that I carried the Garmin InReach Mini. It's my satellite phone, and I think I did the $15 subscription the entire Appalachian Trail, and that gives you, I think, a certain amount of texts a month and then weather updates, and I don't know, there's different tiers, but basically after I finished the trail, I paused the membership, and so I just need to get back on there and make that active so that I will have that satellite phone access while I'm on the PCT. Okay, and then the last thing is appointments. So I went to my dentist appointment earlier this week. I wear contacts, so I get a lot of questions about people who wear contacts as well. So I'll just talk about that real quick. I have the contacts that you can wear for a month. I take them out every night, put them in every morning, and after a month you discard them and you put in a new pair. Typically you need to, I think the eye appointment is a yearly thing, but make sure that you're up to date on that and that it's not going to lapse while you're on trail, because then sometimes they won't sell you any more contacts unless you go in and get the eye appointment renewal and they can update your records and stuff. But I am going to go up there or call up there and order more contacts, because I always like to keep extras with me just in case one tears, breaks, or gets lost. I'll probably order like a couple boxes. I think one box has 3 months, so that is what I'll do for contacts. I guess that's pretty much everything I had written down for things you need to do to prepare for a thru hike. These are things that I learned to do from my last thru hike. Some of these I didn't do before, and so I learned on my thru hike that I need to do that before my next one. So it can be kind of overwhelming, especially as the time comes closer. And so for me, I have so many notes on my phone. I have so many lists, and it's good to write things down, because inevitably more things are going to come up the closer that you get to getting on the trail, and it's easy to forget things and get super overwhelmed. So that's my little life hack of how to remember things, just writing them down. But anyway, yeah, so if you guys have any questions about anything else, you guys can drop them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer. And that's it for today's video. I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks.